and today we're going through a 2018 drama movie called The Third Wife. The movie commences with two boats traveling on a lake to another land. A beautiful lady on board the boat touches the water as she rides on it. Moments later, they get to another town and the lady gets presented to the lord of the town. By nightfall, there's a party with townsmen and women chatting and having fun. At the party, one of the servants served the lady from earlier some fresh peppers and fruits. As the lady settles down to eat, she stops in her tracks to listen to the beautiful voice of the singer hosting the night. After the party, the lady sits on the bed with someone there. Before laying down, the man takes an egg yolk and slides it down to her abdomen. The lady then lays down and waits for her man to slurp the yolk from her abdomen, which he does. Then, they get down to business. The next day, she wakes up early to perform some kind of ritual in the courtyard before going to join the others on their day's work. That same morning, the other women of the house helped a cow give birth. By nightfall, the women of the house contemplate selling the calf to get some gowns for the girls. However, the Lord, not the father of the house, says he'd like to get his grandson a new horse. The women frown a bit at this but don't say anything. The next day, the lady is seen with another woman who cleans up chicken for breakfast that day. That night, the other wives of the house instruct the new lady on how to make their husband happy during in bed. While they talk, one of the other wives complains about how painful and rough their husband is to her. The other one says she likes him just like that. The young lady, who's just glad to be a real woman, now giggles and tries on their jewelry. The next morning, a little girl comes by to help her sister with her hair. Together, they both make their hair nice and cozy for the day. By nightfall, the lady's husband tells her to get on her knees and crawl to him just so he can get excited enough to be with her. The lady does this wholeheartedly as the night scene drifts to an end. The next day, the lady joins her friend, Lean, and one other girl as they munch on some sticky rice. Then, one of the ladies found out Lean was bleeding. They call for her mother, who comes in to help her with her first period. Then, the others get down to the business of the day with the ladies bathing in the river and the men working on the farm. Eventually, when everyone finishes for the day, Lean and the lady from earlier play in their room. The lady throws up something out of her mouth and Lean helps her dispose of it. Unfortunately, Lean spills it on her way after getting distracted by a kid outside. One of the women of the house then tells her to leave it for the servants. Up next, the lord of the house is given a rinse as he discusses some philosophical things about Buddha and the likes. In the next scene, the lady gets chastised for letting Lean do her hard work for her. By nightfall, everyone gets to sleep when Nyan, one of the female kids there, tells Lean she'd like to grow up to be a man. This way, she'd be able to have lots of wives and enjoy life, so to speak. That very night, we're shown the father of the house having his time with another one of his mistresses who joins the lady after finishing her business. Very early that morning, the lady gets out of bed to ease herself in the bamboo plantation when she hears footsteps. She checks out the person and sees it's a man walking further into the woods. She follows him until he stops somewhere. Then, she hears moaning and sees the activity going on between the man and one of the maids of the house. The lady watches in shock as the maid enjoys every bit of the activity. Then, she goes to her husband's, the father of the house's, bed to sleep beside him. When morning fully comes, we're shown a couple of scenes with Lean taking a bath, the man and woman still doing their thing and the lady crying on the bed beside her husband. Later on, the mistress gets pregnant and they're caught. The man is flogged as punishment for breeding a child out of wedlock and the woman is taken to the temple. Later that day, Lean and her family prepare breakfast happily. Meanwhile, the lady goes on with her daily activities. She sits with her people for breakfast and she's told not to eat guava so it won't disturb the baby, and the lady obliges. Further into the day, one of the mistresses teaches the lady who was named May how to terminate and prepare a cockerel for their offerings to the temple. After preparing their offerings, they all get to the temple. May, the lady from earlier, sits down to pray to Buddha to give her a son and not a daughter. This way, she'd be the only one to give birth to a son in the family. After her prayer, she joins the others to watch the fireworks. On their way back home, May and Lean discuss Lean's marriage since she was already coming of age. They giggle a bit as they reach their home. Up next, one of the sons of a noble throws a tantrum over marrying someone he doesn't know. He says he doesn't like it and cries softly as his mother comes to comfort him. She then promises him that things would be fine. At that moment, Nyan makes a fuss over the other wives putting out the sick calf so he doesn't pass on during their son's wedding. She's so pissed at their euthanizing attempt that she doesn't eat breakfast that day. The next morning, the boy that threw a tantrum earlier on chastises Zan, the love of his life, over the baby she was expecting. Zan chases the boy away, telling him to go live his life and leave her alone. That evening, there's a heavy downpour as the boy fell sick and is being taken care of by a senior lady. She tells him to let go of Zan and that she's also been in his shoes before. In the next scene, Lean and the other mistresses talk about how to maintain her period each month. Then, the servants find out Mistress Ha has had a miscarriage. By nightfall, May is seen crying in a room. One of the mistresses enters and asks what was wrong with her. She then says she was the one who prayed for a baby boy, hence, she thinks she caused the miscarriage Lady Ha experienced. The other mistress tells her it could be fate being on her side and that she shouldn't worry too much about that. The next morning, May dresses up Lord of the house as the others also dress up like they were attending an occasion of some sort. The father of the house comforts Mistress Ha over the loss of their baby. Things go on normally for the day, and by nightfall, May takes a walk around the palace, and on the way, she sees a lady in her room doing her business and she cries softly. Up next, a lady looking like Lean is presented to the tantrum boy from earlier who doesn't seem to care much about her. She proceeds to get down to the business for the night. To her surprise, the boy shouts at her to stop it. Meanwhile, one of the mistresses rubs some ointment on May's stomach and massages it. Then, they discuss May's mother as things get excited between the two of them. May tries to kiss the mistress, but the mistress stops her. May is disappointed as she thinks the mistress wasn't in love with her. The mistress stops her and tells her she's been in love with her ever since, but since May was pregnant at the time, it won't speak well of her to take advantage of May. Besides, it's not like anyone would approve of their love anyways. The next day, some men talk about the issue which happened the night before between the tantrum boy and the lady betrothed to him. The parents of the boy say their son begged them to annul the wedding, and the dense father blames the daughter for not being able to fulfill her duties right. Upon ending the meeting, the girl's father tells the boy's parents that he can't annul the wedding and that the gods have sanctified the union. The lady's father takes his leave, giving a disgustful look at his innocent daughter as he makes his way out of the building. In the next scene, May goes into labor, which keeps going on all the way till night. May almost passed out as the pain of giving birth was too much. Eventually, May passes out and she's in a trance where she's in a river floating up. Thankfully, one of the midwives comes in and saves the day, stopping May from passing on. Phew. Upon getting up, May finds out the baby was a girl. She's a bit disappointed but feeds the baby nonetheless. Up next, the tantrum boy is seen begging his father to annul the wedding. By morning, May gets cleaned up while her baby cries softly in the background. After getting back up, she pets her baby who keeps crying. The next day, May holds her baby and prays with other members of her family. Upon noticing everyone dressed in white, we come to realize it's the funeral of one of their daughters. Everyone's in a sober mood as they take the coffin out of the town and onto the boat to cremate it. A couple of scenes unfold as we see some girls playing, May patting her baby, someone else making her hair, and the boat still carrying the coffin to an unknown location. Then, we're shown May trying to breastfeed her crying baby. Thankfully, she does so and her baby stops crying for a bit. Then, May plucks out a poisonous flower and tries to give it to her baby. Meanwhile, Nyan could be seen cutting her hair and smiling widely as the movie ends. Thanks for watching, guys.